Welcome every pony to the war-torn conquest of the changeling lands, fighting against our brave ponies from Equestria. The great war has broken out, and ghastly saboteurs fell behind our lines. But Swift Clip, our black horse in the race, has mobilized his reserve troops in order to save Vancouver and the front line. The moment we are holding, which is surprising for me, and even more surprising that the changelings actually managed to supply their troops on the front line. So I don't even want to know how many depots they got down there. I don't have any paratroopers, since it occurred to me, you know what would be a really good way to disrupt supply? Finding their supply depots and just paratrooping them. Starving them out on the front and making sure ain't too many supplies going in, although they have created a pretty fearsome network of railway lines, so you need to 1, 2, 3... No, it's a village. You need to paratrop at least... Oh, down here we need to do it again, so 5 locations. Although you need the harbor, otherwise it comes through the harbor. You need the harbor at Sadel. And then which you could probably blockade if you got enough ships. And then you need to paratrop 4 separate points to stop supplies. Oh no, there's a giant cross. They're still coming through. We get sent volunteer troops and we will accept them gladly, mostly in the defensive areas, because I'm expecting some naval invasions sooner or later. Let's have a look at their navy. This is comprised of 60 ships, 12 are capital. How's our largest navy? Yeah, we don't really stand a chance if we are... Oh no, we do. Alright. Let's get rid of this one and you concentrate on those 2. And you move over there. You already is only supposed to patrol up there, so maybe we can land a strike against. We got forces inbound, we got air wings missing. Missions. Let's move them all. Oh, those are... Yeah. Yeah, no. You are... You stay where you are, but... You can do naval strength and air superiority. This region. We have lost air superiority, but I've redirected our fighters, so we should at least get on equal footing. And the Black Rangers have arrived. Let's hope I can take this one back. Protests for the vote on democracy begin. The moderates and their allies have launched massive strikes and protests against the rule of the president. Wasn't the war enough turmoil for a millennia? Doesn't look like it. Democracy protests. How do we deal with those? We don't need war propaganda. Yeah. Restoration negotiations on either. How do I deal with this? Military economics, war measures. I don't see anything to deal with this right now, which is quite a problem, to be sure. Well, great. Fervent demand for the vote. The opposition refuses to compromise until their votes is carried out. The protests for the vote of no confidence are growing more and more intense and are spreading all around the nation. We can't afford this chaos at this critical period for much longer. Is there no other way to solve this? Well, I found it. Since I need to be at least at 20% surrender, and I'm not because I'm prepared, I can't really call for Stalingrad's help. So I have to do without. That being said, we can prevent the vote. Jail dissidents. Ooh, we can suppress the enemy. This could also be an interesting route. Maybe one day. Without the civil war. Well, there's only one thing to do. Allow the vote of no confidence. And then we can maybe see which route I go down as long as I lose the 20% of civilian for consumer goods, because I really need the productions. I have queued up in Huvada, my most fought over area. 2 more fort levels, although I barely have about 1 to 2 hours of rest, so they just can't. They can't even get a single building point into, let's show it, 0 of 2000, 0 of 2000, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Although we captured a supply point of the enemy because they were weak there, and we sent our Swift Clipper with all his special units. Can't wait for the next 3 tanks to be available. And maybe I can make a push for Valistad, which would be another supply line, which should hurt the enemy around this area. Or at least up here, which then would bring us to Hurrend. Hurrend might be a bit of a problem because it's going around the north and I need to capture all this land in order to secure the supply line to Hurrend for myself. Down here I had to build my own. And then I had to build some forts. Just fort level 2. No reason to overdo it. As far as the war casualties go, we are at 200k to 420k. The changelings already increased their conscription level. They are now also in extensive conscription, like us. Yes, this is our picture, but it's for them, it's the same. Mostly, however, it's our allies. They are throwing themselves against the enemy more than I would like. I keep holding the line and everything works more or less. However, they insist on pushing when there is nothing to push. But oh well, I can't stop them. Down here, they are suffering attrition. Very nice. We ourselves also suffer attrition, mostly because supplies get directed towards seaports via sea, and those supply lines get interrupted by enemy submarines. Which is bad.
Ready to do our
And
part.
Van Hoover, it could all come here through. There's enough supply open to go down here. But no, it has to come through the ocean, which is a pain in the bum. Magical management. Spike, Twilight's personal dragon assistant and adoptive little brother, had spent more and more time lately in the Crystal Empire, where he was celebrated as a hero who had saved the nation from Sombra's return. Now he was back in Ponyville once more, worried about the burden the Great War has placed on the princess. He entered the Castle of Friendship, whose hallways were empty. He headed to the library, and his guess was proven correct. Twilight was there, absorbed in work. She was surrounded by books and notes, and was frantically writing. "Twilight," he said, trying to get her attention. "I'm back from the Crystal Empire." She snapped out of it, and lifted her gaze from the papers. "Oh, Spike, glad to see you. You came at a perfect time. She levitated a scroll from her table into his claws. Send this to Celestia. It's important. Spike lifted a scaly brow. Oh, sure. He breathed shining green flames which consumed the scroll, making it magically appear in Canterlot. What was the scroll about? A report on the research programs I've prepared. The magical experimentation department in Bales, Stableside, and Albion. They need her approval before the research can begin. What are they studying? Weapons, she said casually, and continued to work on her notes. Crystal armaments, combat mage training, use of magic in industrial production. Anything that can help us win the war. Oh, I see. Mike walked closer to Twilight and looked at all the paperwork. You know, you seem to be doing a good job managing all this. You're not too stressed out? Elysian coffee does wonders. Oh, thanks, Spike. You know, maybe you could use your organizational skills and leadership for managing the front line. With your clever head, I'm sure we'd win in a month. Twilight's quill stopped moving. She sighed. I'd rather not. Why? Would be more effective than trying to invent a miracle weapon. It's always been to your leadership that we've kicked the butts of all those villains before. I don't want to have that responsibility now. It's not just 6 friends. It's millions of soldiers. A single mistake results in thousands of death and wounded. She shuts her eyes. I don't want to bear that burden. Why? You know, one day you won't have a choice. Celestia and Luna won't be princesses forever. I'm not ready yet, just not yet. Okay, Spike? Spike sighed. Alright, fine. Do you need any more help? Twilight smiled. Yes, actually, I'm happy you're here. She quickly embraced him with her wings before returning back to her work. But she'll need to be ready sooner than 3 things. Has this something to do with my... No, it does not. It's just a load of background noise. And looks like our bloodthirsty friends from the Crystal Empire have pushed in over the river and now chipping away at the tanks and everything in here. I don't... Well, it's not that I'm happy to let them do it, but it's causing casualties to the enemy. Which actually is rather annoying because I want them to survive. I have started construction of a supply depot down here. It will take until February, so a long time. Yeah, takes a whole lot of time thanks to the democratic protests and strikes. Because we have supply problems here and we lose about 14 to 15% of our attack and defense capabilities. However, I'm not brave enough to remove them. And all of this because freaking Van Hoover is getting supplied via sea and not via this train here. Deep breath. Calm your inner brony. And it's time to infiltrate the enemy army. We have an excellent outlook. It takes 75 days. And let's see what we can find. How's the cipher looking? We have the cipher in 3 days. So in 3 days, we theoretically could try for a push. On the 4th of November, in another day, we get our 3 more armor divisions, which may help me push on through. Let's get all of them. Even
Magic makes us strong.
Increase our presence slightly. And hopefully don't overdo the supply demands up here north. There it is. More decryption, encryption, more of everything, just more. The vote of no confidence is in. And we got a choice between. The numbers were smaller than we thought. We have the majority, but it was close. The majority is with the protesters or a resounding call for democracy. This all gives us changing. Either we call for a president, a prime minister election, a kind of half parliament, equestrian diet. It's just a meeting of people. And we always get the lone princess. Aww. What happened to Luna? Can't we bring her back, you know? Exercise Nightmare Moon from her? Alright, having had a small look through it, and I think while we need our strong leader figure in this time of crisis, we also need a few representation of the people, her friends. And so I plan to go down the power of diet, which pretty much all of those do the same. It's just the outcome of the election. And then I will go down the diet of commoners for the reduced conscription. This is pretty much pointless for us. Here there's some good stuff and some bad stuff. And then the commoners, which grants us resource gain efficiency 5%, which means a lot more oil. Consumer good factories 5%, which is a hard hit, but oh well, what can you do? And then trusting in the old wisdom, so the monarch still stays ahead. But I think that's the way I want to go. That's the way I will do it. We have the majority, but the vote is too close. Let's continue on. The call for the princess is in. Also, our 3 tank divisions are in, and we got a cipher for the enemy. So I think it is time for a push. We got air superiority. We got strength in numbers. We haven't got any... Oh yes, we got a plan.
Ready to do our part.
Why don't we have a plan? Where's the...
Magic makes us strong.
Oh, they are still... Why aren't you planning? Come on. Oh, they are just entrenching, but I don't want them to entrench. We wait for this little skirmish to get over, and then we will counter-attack and do warrior stat using, if we have to, our encryption. Oh great, my recording screwed up because I didn't push the pause button. Well, a heart-warming miracle. Recently, as pony soldiers on the front prepared to celebrate Hearts-Warming Eve, something strange happened. There have been reports that at one frontier position near the Changeling front line, some ponies climbed over the trench, waving a white flag. Changelings honorably did not open fire and allowed the enemy soldiers to get near. The ponies then invited the Changeling soldiers to celebrate hearts warming with them in no creature's land. Surprisingly, some of the changelings and even a few officers accepted the offer. As the moon rose, the ponies and changelings drank cider and hot chocolate milk, sang carols, and even played some hoofball. Soldiers casually chatted with each other, talking of their families and civilian lives, and telling traditional stories. Changelings, of course, do not celebrate pony holidays, but were very curious and seemed to enjoy it. After reports of the incident spread, the high command on both sides reacted. The Equestrian army used this as a chance to show the values of friendship, and the changelings were fighting against their will, using the opportunity to portray Chrysalis and her posse as warmongering tyrants. On the other side, the queen was outraged by this and forbade any knowledge of its spread, any knowledge of it to spread, putting the nation's censorship bureau to work. She then ordered capital punishment on every single soldier and officer who had taken part in the treachery. However, some of the changelings managed to escape and being welcomed warmly by equestrian soldiers. They are now prisoners of war, but are treated well. Well, that was unexpected. As well as my push to Fallenstead, they move fast to cut me off. I threw everything up, but they still won, so now it's just back to preparing. But we inched closer. We still got our supply depot up here in Parasopolis. It gave a few provinces, and, well, I think soon we'll have it. They have lost one of their airports, and that's good enough for me for now. Also, the attacks in the south have abated, which allowed us to build our forts. So now, down here, we are at fort level. Sorry. My food's trying to come. Good grief, what happened to the forts here? Why weren't you on a constant attack if you're just only at fort level 1? Look at what we got. Now, with the vote over and a little bit more stability, looking way better. And I do hope I get a second chance at a push at Volinstad. But all this, and hopefully a tide of war changing, in the next episode, when we will probably get done with all our internal shenanigans, can concentrate even a bit more on the Crystal Empire, on everything war related, and have a few less events to go over, which take up a lot of time to read. But I hope you enjoy them, as do I, so stay safe and bye bye.